Don't forget, as a programmer, you should learn how to place comments. Okay, now that we have created this, what else do we need? We need a method, right? And we need a method to actually hold some of these values. So let's say a method public void, let's give a method check. That's to check balance and amount. I get into what do we say? Let's put balance. Let's actually put balance. Let's put a specific figure in that variable. Let's say balance is 13,000. Let's say balance is 13,560.67 naira. Now, don't forget, like I said, this single operator, this single equal to means you are assigning this value into this variable. Don't forget that. Why double means you are trying to check the value of this is the same thing as the value of the other. Okay, let's continue. Now we have actually fixed an amount in this balance. Now let's also create amount. Let's say amount equal to, let's say amount equal to let's say amount is equals to 12,000. So that's the amount he wishes to withdraw, or let's put it as 22,000. That's the amount he wishes to withdraw. Normally we are not supposed to fix the value into it. The user is to input the value of the amount. So the program will take in that value and compare it with what it has in it. So we're going to be doing that very soon, but for now let's stick to what we know. So we're going to be doing that very soon. We're going to be writing the next program. We'll be writing how you can actually accept data from user and work with it. So we're going to be doing that very soon, but for now let's stick to what we know. Now amount is equal to 20, and okay, good. Now let's write an if statement. I get it. So but the if statement should be in the method. This statement should be method. So let's put it inside this method and say if, don't forget, like I said, if your boolean expression inside the parentheses, and which boolean expression? Let's say if amount. Now what are we going to be using? Don't forget, you are using a relational operator. So and what relational operator are we using? We're using the relational operator if amount is greater than balance. What does this mean? That means the compiler should actually check if the value in this operand is greater than the value of this operand. Now if it is true, don't forget your curly brace bracket. If that is true, what should it do? Then we have to tell the compiler to execute this statement, which means system.out.print line. Don't forget how to print and how to print a value on your screen. .print line, then your string, exact string, and say insufficient value, so insufficient amount. I get it, insufficient amount. So it's actually going to print this exact statement, system.out.print insufficient, as if amount is greater than, and if the value we have in this amount is bigger than your balance. There's no way someone will want to withdraw an amount that is bigger than its balance. There should be, if it is possible, then everybody will be rich. Everybody will just have to go to the ATM and start withdrawing, putting any amount they like. And so, but there should be a code that should check that if this amount which you to withdraw is greater than the balance, please do this. But else, which means that what? Don't forget, after your if statement, this is what it does. If this is true, then else. Don't forget, else means what? If it is not true. Else means if the code we are writing isn't true. That means if the boolean expression, this boolean expression is not true, what should it do? That means if means if the balance is actually greater than the amount. That means it is not true. That's if it is false. Else your system.out.print line, and let's say you do let us say your transaction is processing, or let us say okay, your transaction is processing. Are you getting it? Please wait. Let's put it, please wait, your transaction is processing. Now then you come right here, say system.print.line. Since our program cannot print out money, cannot bring out money, let's just put something like your balance, your current balance is then let's call the variable plus balance. Now I see that. So let's create an object at which the code will run from. And how do we create object? Like I said, you use your class name. Use your class name to create an object, which is account object name acc equal to new account. Now we've created our object acc. Then we call the object to perform a particular method. Are you getting it? What method are we calling the object to perform? This check method, because this is where our code is actually running from. This is where this method contains what we want our object to be doing. Don't forget, like I said, a method is the behavior you want an object to perform. So the object is acc, so we actually need to call the object, the method, which is what? Check. Now since we have this, let's go ahead, no error, let's go ahead to run our code. Right click on account.java, because if you run it's going to run the main class, which is the arithmetic operation. But let's right click on the account java, then run file. Click on the run. You see it. Let's wait for it. Build successful. Insufficient amount. Now what do we see here? Insufficient amount. Why is it insufficient amount? Let's go back to the code. Sorry, I'm trying to float here. I need this code. Okay, better this way. Now insufficient balance. Now how is it and why is it insufficient balance? Because see, if amount is greater than balance, and what amount are we having? We're having 22,000. 22 is greater than the balance, which means this Boolean expression is true, and that means it has to execute this statement, which is what? Insufficient balance. Now let's go ahead and make this amount less than. Now let's save it and run it. Let's close this. Now let's run it and see what is going to print out. Please wait, your transaction is processing. Your current balance is 13,560. Now can you see that it's actually telling us that this is false, which means it's coming to print it. That means actually amount is not greater than balance. That means it's not going to execute this, but it's coming down to execute this, which means it's going to print, please wait, your transaction is processing, the current balance is balanced. But this program is not intelligent enough. It doesn't look real enough, because if you try to say please wait, actually after this statement it should wait for some second before bringing out your current balance. So what should we do? Now this is what you need to do. Now what do you need to do? There's something we call thread. Now when we say thread, I want you to follow me. When we say thread, yes, thread. Now when we say this thread, what does this mean? Say, what does a thread mean? You see, a thread is a sequential flow, is a single sequential flow of control in a program. So it is a code in, is a current, is, let's say A thread is a section of a code that is currently being executed by the processor. I get in a section of the code that is currently being executed by the processor. So if you notice, a CPU performs various processes simultaneously, such as writing, such as printing of the document, such as installing the software, such as displaying the time and the date on the status bar. Now, all these processes are handled by separate thread. A thread takes care of the date and time. A thread takes care of the printing of document. A thread takes care of the installation of the software. So all these threads are single programs that have been executed by a processor. So a CPU that actually performs a single thread is what we call single-threaded system. While a CPU that performs a process that performs multi-thread is what we call a multi-threaded system. I think you've also gotten that for the computer engineering students. Okay, now let's create a thread. What are we trying to do? We are trying to create a program to actually execute a section of the code while it's also executing this code. Now let's create a thread. And one thing about thread, a thread can do so many things. We can actually call a thread to sleep. We can actually call a thread to can actually determine whether a thread is running. We can make a thread to pause for a period of time. We can actually return the name of thread. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to make this particular thread, that means this particular program we are writing, to sleep, because if it's going to wait, that means you now want this particular program, this code, this check method to wait for some seconds before it continues to do this. Are you getting it? So if we're going to be doing that, then we're going to be writing it as thread.sleep, then we put into the bracket in milliseconds the amount of seconds we want to sleep. Don't forget, 1000 means 1 second, 2000 means 2 seconds. So let it sleep for 2 seconds, then we come here and close the bracket. But if you see this, we are having an error, sorry. And when we look at what we have here, it says here that unreported exception, interrupted exception must be cut or declared to be true. Now don't forget, if you actually take notes, when I was discussing the previous class, I made mention of try and catch. Now when we say try and catch is one of Java programming constructs. Is when you try to, when you know that there can be a possible error. We discussed exception in our previous class. So there can be a possible error in a program. So you have actually seen that an error could occur in this particular program, but you now want to devise a means such a way that whenever this error occur, you are trying to catch that error. You are trying to take control of the error, so that the user will not actually will not see it as an error, a system error. So you are trying to catch it, or you are trying to modify the error, look presentable before the user. So in case this error happens, please do this. So that is the purpose of try and catch. Try means, okay, let's try this section of the code. So if an error occurs through this section of this code, catch, that means catch this particular statement, catch this particular exception, and write and do this particular thing so that users will not see this as a system or a flaw in the program. So let's write it in a try and catch. Now how do I write try and catch? Try, open your curly brace bracket. Now inside this try is where the code you want your code to be. Inside this try, that's where you want your code to be. So that's where we're going to put our thread.sleep. Don't forget, we are trying to make our thread sleep. It's sleeping thread. Let's say sleeping our program for 2 seconds. We are trying to make our program sleep for 2 seconds. So we put in a try, open a thread.sleep 2000, that's 2 seconds. Then you catch what kind of exception, that means what kind of exception is likely going to come out. So the exception is an interrupted exception because it is a program. So what exception do you think can occur? That means if another program is if we have an interrupt, that means this is a program that is running. So for an error to occur in this kind of program, that means an interrupt came up. And you know what an interrupt is as computer engineers? Interrupt is an unwanted signal, an immediate signal, a signal that suspend the current execution of the program. So the CPU will suspend its current execution of program to attend to the signal. It means that signal is what we call interrupt. So yeah, an interrupt is a signal that is actually stopping or pausing the current execution of program. So if we have our current execution of a program as this, the error that could possibly occur is when we have an interrupt. So that's why we call it interrupt exception. This is how you catch an error, interrupt exception. So you name the exception as any variable e, then you come here and say system. That means what you want the program to actually do whenever such an error occur. So let's just put it as this. Let's copy that and say system.out.println sorry, your process is paused. It shall continue soonest. That means your process is paused. It shall continue. So we've tried the error. So let's run it. Now don't forget. Now system.out.println please wait till transaction is processing. This makes our program to sleep for 2 seconds. Then you bring this out. Now let's see this. Let's run this program again. Please wait. Can you see now? Can you see the result? Let's do it again. So we see it. Let's make it 3 seconds. Let's make it 4 seconds. So we see it as it work. Now let's run it. Please wait. Can you see it? Let's look at it again. Please wait. Transaction is processing. Your current balance is 13,560. Can you see it? Now that is how a trade works. I hope you've understood that now. But let's do some little calculation in this. Let's make it more. Let's do some little calculation. Now what calculation should we do? If amount is greater than balance, insufficient balance. Else, that means if the amount is actually less than the balance. Don't forget that we are trying to withdraw. Don't forget that we are trying to withdraw. That means the user is trying to kind of calculations we're going to do them. Let's create a variable first. Let's say, okay, don't worry, let's make it balance. Let's just leave it that way. Now we say I want you to look this balance equal to balance minus amount. Now what does this mean? It means if balance is actually greater, if the amount it wants to withdraw, it wishes to withdraw, is less than the balance, that means it's not going to bring out this, because this bring expression is false. It's coming down to this, which means that it's going to do this statement, which means it's going to subtract the balance we have, which is 13,560.7, from, it's going to subtract the amount we wish to withdraw from the balance. Once it has done the subtraction, it stores the answer back into the variable balance. So this variable balance overrides this amount. Then it prints out, say your transaction is processing, and it prints out the balance out. It brings out the original balance after the subtraction has been done. Don't forget, if the amount you wish to withdraw is actually less than the balance, it will not execute this. It comes to this else statement, and it will actually subtract the amount you wish to withdraw from the current balance he has. Then the new balance will now be stored in the variable balance, and it's going to what? Print out. Please wait till transaction is processing. then the program sleeps for 4 seconds, then comes out to say please your current balance is the new amount he has. Now let's run it to see. Watch here. Please wait till transaction is processing. 4 seconds. Your current balance is 1,560. That means actually he has withdrawn the money. That means he has actually removed 12,000 from the current balance he has, which is 13,500. So let's make this 9,000. So and let's run it again. Please wait. Your current balance is 4,560. Can you see that? So I hope with this you've gained a lot. You can actually see how to use if and else statements. And don't forget that is for relational operation, but we can actually do conditional operation. And the conditional operation, like I said, you can make it several ways. Something. Let's create another variable. Let's create another variable. Let's say account. Let's make it string account type. Now what does this mean? We are creating a data type string, and don't forget a string data type can actually it collects sentences, collect text values. So it collects text values. So we have a string data account type, and let's actually initialize the account type. Now let's say account type, and if you're writing a string you must put it in quotes. The account type is savings. Is savings. Now this person wants to withdraw, but if he placed, if he wants to withdraw, now we say if amount is less than this, bring out this. Now let's use the conditional operators. Now don't forget the conditional operator, we use it when we have a multiple Boolean expression. Now we have one multiple expression, one Boolean expression, which is amount less than greater than balance. Now we're going to put that in another parenthesis because that is one Boolean expression. Now let's create, let's say if account balance type is this, and we open another brace bracket and say account type equals. Now don't forget I used equal. This we have this equal, we are using this another operator, that's relational operator. We have one relational operator as greater than, another relational operator as equal to, that's the string. That means it must be equal to that string, which is savings. That means if it is equal to savings, if the string is actually savings, if the account type is savings, then you should print out this. Else you should do this. I get it. But let's now create multiple if statements. Else if. Now let's create something. Look at, watch this. If amount greater, or let's say if amount is less than balance, which is normal, and account type equals current, then do something like this. Do this, that's print out this and say wrong account type selected. Now let's watch what's going to happen. Okay, there's something I wish to let you know. Look at this dot equals and this. They are, you say that they are different. Dot equals and this, where they are the same thing. They are the same thing. They mean the same thing, but different syntax. But actually, you use this equal to sign when you're actually equating the operands, especially integer or float or Boolean expression. But because I'm using a string, I use this syntax dot equals, then I open a curly bracket, then I put whatever I want to see whether it is equal to as this. Don't forget, it will check this variable and see whether it's the same thing as this. If it is the same thing, then it returns a true value. Don't forget, if this is the same thing as this, it returns a true value. Else, it does the statement that is here. So let's also change that. Now let's run it to see. This way the transform is processing. Okay, now it means that this was false because amount is greater than balance, so it's definitely false because we have our amount to be 9,000 naira. So amount cannot be, this amount is not greater than the balance. Now else if means it will not